Okay, that should be working. Yep. I may have to go BRB shortly, being that the dogs are outside, unless they both decide to come in and hang out. I was trying to get this done before the stream, the commits on yesterday's work, etc. Um, when I finish stream, often I don't have any time whatsoever after, so I never get to do any cleanup, which is not a good thing because it means that if something's fresh in my mind, I lose track of it. So that is not good. Introduce constant for statuses. Model. Maybe I should. These are definitely ones I should squash. So I need to make sure I do squash these when I get to that stage. Why do you not clear out? So today's stream, my hope is that I can kind of take this yet further and figure out. I might focus on the editing of requirements. That's a natural next step, I suppose. Without editing requirements, I can't fine tune the planning item. Again, it's something I want to do, right? Oh yeah, that's where we were stuck yesterday. The attachment, the requirements weren't showing. By we, I mean me, obviously, but yes. Also, I need to go through that and review that. But again, I'm on this quest now to make this a useful platform. If I can use this to plan the stories out that I'm doing now, then I can start to really focus on it being a useful tool. And just use it as a chance to refine those concepts. By the way, if I am ever let's do that afterwards. I need to remember to do that. Okay. So I need to get these committed so I don't lose track further. Include status select and pipe. The dream I had seemed to be influenced by a video I watched last night, as well as game jam theme, won't die, something like that. In short, there was this apocalyptic event. The beings that it spawned were very aggressive during the day. At night, it seemed like they were gone. There were massive waves of water that were making a threat. Huh. Wow. Yeah, it's been a long time since I dreamt that vividly. I maybe have had one dream in the last 5 or 6 years that I can actually remember. I don't sleep well enough. But, huh. It's interesting though what our brains can do. Huh. Include pipe and switch out list of statuses in status select component with eventually the water in the dream needs to go to the avatar in the dream needed to go to a warehouse he thought was empty and had supplies and such. A bunch of the beings showed up and tried to kill him, but he didn't die. He essentially learned that humans couldn't die while indoors and the beings couldn't die when they were in the open world. Wow, that's a quite involved. You got mechanics and all sorts in there. That's You're not joking. That was a vivid dream. Ah, was that your game idea? You've got to lure the creatures into buildings and trap them so that you can eradicate them. So kind of part puzzle, a part oh. No, what's it called? Games about barricading, right? Not actually like controlling the access. Um, I'm terrible with names. Travel participating in the jump, that is, and the building could get destroyed, so you would be forced to move around outside. Yeah, you'd have to give something that the player would have to move outside to risk being attacked, and then figure out how to get inside, or like kind of create a complex. That's cool though. Although in those sorts of dreams, it can be quite harrowing if you like to me they become when they're so vivid they become real. Therefore, that fear feels in the dream real. um, and all the relevant nervousness and whatnot kicks in. Oh man! So to try and curb my um, spending and also control my diet a little bit more, um, I never have any time to prepare stuff. I ordered one of those factor boxes to give them a go. Um, and I've had three of the meals so far. I had two breakfasts and one lunch. And so far, they've been really good. I didn't expect them to be good. I expected them to just be kind of bland nonsense, but they're really uh, quite well flavored. And I got their protein bots, so I can eat more protein, less carb. Yes, I bought pre-made meals. Yeah, just to try it out to see if it could help me with um morning by the way, daughter. I wanted to try it. I wanted to see, and actually pretty good food actually. And if I could get actually more in there. Um, the night mechanic of avoiding the flood, and it was very involved, but there wasn't fear. It was mostly awe and a bit of aggression when I felt the emotions of the avatar of the dream. So the multiple avatars, only one of which was supposed to be me. No idea that every character in the dream is some facet of yourself. That's cool though. I mean, that dream is fantastic. I got pre-made meals this week that do the 40-40-20 thing for the macros, protein, carbs, and fat. Yeah, I chose the higher protein options. So I get like this morning was a frittata and some cubed. It wasn't potato. It was very spicy, but it was very tasty. Can't remember what it was. But yeah, you whack them in the microwave for a minute 30, 2 minutes, etc. And then again, I'm spending that much on food when I'm ordering food and whatnot. Um, and we're not making enough food in the house because we just don't have the time. Um, so it was nice. One project at once, daughter. One big project at once. Focus. Music app. Um, Otherwise you'll get bored and switch to something else. Yeah, that's cool. There you go. Okay. Device. What you're saying is why we got Blue Apron. We were spending even more than that on buying fast food, and I thought it would be better to get fresh produce, etc. Yeah, yeah. And also like in the lunchtime stuff, when my wife and daughter were like, "We're hungry," and I order something, then I'm ordering from places that I don't really have much control over, and I'm either eating too much. So I got asked 3 months ago by the doctor to lose 70 pounds. I have gained 0.2 pounds um, net overall, right? So net overall. I'm going to do that a lot today. I can see. I'm just going to keep choosing synonyms for the same word and then just repeat myself. Um, yeah. So if I've got controlled portions that are balanced for what I need, and I'm managing to somehow, like, my biggest problem right now is my biggest concern is I ate that meal, that breakfast meal at 6:30 this morning. That's normally a bad idea for me. Normally I wait till after stream, but I was like, I'll eat it now, then I've got more time after stream, etc. Um, but now I'm going to wait until 1 o'clock to eat the next meal, which is probably going to be bad. Then I'm going to do a workout. So last night I was really hungry after karate, so I just had a protein shake to just to just to make me not feel quite so bad. But it's a hard balance. Um, so trying. If this doesn't work, I'm hiring a nutritionist. It'll be cheaper than buying all the food anyway. Okay, so let's do this. Break graph QL query components. That's fragments to introduce reusability. Not actually used. If you feel like it, here's some information that can help you make a decision on to either go your Dr. Scientist. Nice. I will check that out. Hi Michael. Hello, I left a message in Discord, but yeah, the app is deployed to my AWS CC2 instance. I'll have to link to the repo in Discord. Nice. I'll check out the repo. I tried to connect to it early this morning while I was sat eating, and it wasn't available. But I figured if I could look at the code as well, that'd probably be more productive. I did click in the app yesterday, but yeah. If there's anything specific you want to look at, if there's anything you kind of focused on in terms of your learning, etc., just let us know. Try and find some time in a bit. Sugar is worse than fiber as a cut. Yeah. Yeah, I'll check out the video. Um, my doctor when he's like you got to lose weight. I was like, well, I do karate 5 to 6 times a week. He's like, and stop eating. Um, hey, what are you chewing? What are you chewing? Oh, I'll save that video. I'll have a look afterwards. Okay. So here, nice. Okay. So yeah, these are all around that. Okay, so we're gonna do this. Provide ability to filter out planning items. Install state. Okay. bike hypothermia burns about 150 calories, which is roughly equal to 200. Yeah, yeah. You have to do a lot more exercise than you think to burn off the calories you consume. Um, I don't know. It's a very difficult balance. And for me, when I lived in the UK, it was much easier for me because when I decide to do something, I can kind of commit to doing it. You put a family into that mix, it's really hard because they have different requirements and different demands, and they're not on the same plan as you. So, um, okay, let's do this. So I made all this part of one story. We need to fix that bug before we go further forward, though. We need to fix the fact that I'm not showing requirements now. So let's have a look. Um, by the way, if you are in the mornings, so Dan streams about an hour, starts an hour before I do. If you're ever around in the mornings looking for a nice quiet stream time going, he does game dev, and this week he's been doing his Dino Jam game. But yeah, he's a really cool place to go hang out. I've got to start doing a better job of shout outs. I do a terrible job of it. Okay, where's the story that I'm actually looking for? It's this one, right? Status of planning items, yeah, in progress. So the requirements are not showing. So let's have a look at dev tools, changes, planning item, data, planning item, requirements. So requirements are clear there. Oh, login required. No, that's not this one, but one day I promise I'll get round to using an email address that I can remember every single time. And don't have to go to the database every single time for. Okay. So we're not missing requirements. We are visually missing requirements. So why am I missing requirements all of a sudden? Views, modules. That's an interesting challenge. The cross stream chat. Yeah, Michael, the link that you provided yesterday was an IP address with a port. I assume you shut that down, or it's changing its IP address. Don't forget, looking for first job as software developer, so different. Views, planning items, detail. So requirements takes item ID, go to app requirements, we find the identify the planning item. Okay. So when we click on this, we should hit breakpoint. There we go. And then entities, this item. We are missing requirements. So this is one of those things that I'm still struggling over, understanding when something happens. So when we click on a planning item, right, we do this load detail for. So this is the one that loads it as an effect of this ID being set. This load detail for should go and fetch all the rest of the data. And then these actual controls these are components. So requirements here. You see, this does it on the store. So this is loading what's in the store. So if the store doesn't have the requirements, that's why that's missing. We're clearly asking for the requirements, which is strange. But this then doesn't have to go and make the request again. Every single tab doesn't make the request again. So I'm still trying to get my head around the right design here. Like, when am I really loading something versus not? So the idea is when I click on this, I load the extra detail, including all the information for these, so that when I click to these, the information's already there. Is that ideal? Probably not. What I probably want to do is load their specific details and add them into the object, so that the object is caching that data. And that's kind of what I was talking about yesterday in terms of my data access design. I need to understand a little bit more about, is it well designed Angular or well architected signal stores? Caching on the front end is pretty complicated, I think. Oh, yeah, without a doubt, it's going to trip me up many times. So this fetch one, well, that's the problem with using the signal stores. I am essentially caching, kind of, but then I'm overriding that behavior for the most part and loading every time. Yeah, there's definitely some difficulties here. So the idea is that this is the fragment, right? So this broke when I added the fragment for certain. But the idea is that I should be able to ask all these, and I do get this data back. So somewhere in here, we return a planning item, right? We pipe map single planning item, pass one back, and then in here, fetch one subscribe. We can't do that. That would be nice. That would be neat to do app, honestly. Idea number 64,922. So we have updated. Requirements are here. So something telling me that the current, it's not current. We have a current one. So current last updated is September 11th at 13:11, and our updated is that time. Ah. Do that with caching and cache busting on the front end. Yeah, that would be good. Oh, no cheap viewers. Good job, Sarahbot. So the reason that's not loading is because this code here is my code to try and prevent me just keep updating the object. So I'm testing to see, should I actually patch this object? So if my date time on my object is greater than the time of the object coming down, then I shouldn't patch it, right? Because I know more right this second. The problem is when they're equal, they're identical times. So I don't know why I've not seen that bug before. There you go. So the idea is if I update it, the server version only when the correct server version comes back to me, do I actually update that actual data in the store. Every other time it'll just use what it's got in the store. The problem is there, I have to make a request to the server every single time anyway. So I'm not actually saving myself any time. So again, my data access patterns, my caching, all those things are not as they should be on the client. I know they're not as they should be. I just don't know any better designs right this second. So I've got to learn that. Yeah. It had, in this case, the data coming from the server was the exact same time. So when I load this screen, I load the store up with values, right? But I don't load all the data in for every single object. I only load what I need. When I click on one, I go and reach out and get the extra data, the requirements, the comments, the attachments, etc. Then when I go to update the object to say, okay, is your last updated date greater than mine, i.e. you know more? Yes, it is. Okay. Yeah, we don't need to update you. But if that updated data finally comes through, then I also then want to say, yep, here's the most updated data. So if someone changes the data on a different client and I click back on this, I should pull that data now. So how do you know it's stale? The update, yeah. So when you send an update, it should include the current state of the data displayed. Well, yeah. When I push a change to this, I modify the object in the store, and I update the data, the date last updated on the store. Then when that goes all the way through the server, it comes back, and when it updates, its date will be greater than mine all the time, even if it's by milliseconds. And then it will say, yeah, refresh your data. So again, my data access pattern here is wrong. What I should be doing is saying when I click on requirements, go and load the requirements. When I click on attachments, go and load the attachments and use them individually. So right now, when I click on an item, that makes a server request that pulls down this entire object. It then says, okay, by the way, is your last updated date greater than mine? Yeah, it is. Okay, we'll refresh your object. Otherwise, we'll use our current version. So I'm always doing the server request, which is not the point of this. I should be being smarter about that. What I want to do is in the back end, push when something's changed, and then it knows it's stale and it can refresh its data so that I don't actually have to make that question. I don't have to ask that question. I can always use what's in the store. I never need to make a server request because the server's actually told me. Yeah. Yeah. So again, it's kind of coming up with those strategies, coming up with those plans for how do I want to handle the data. And yeah, my hope is that when I get to a good point with this, that I can find someone who can do a really good UI UX mock-up. And at that point, it's a rewrite of the client anyway, right? There's no doubt it's a rewrite of the client that's not, um, well, I push. I switch out for the client. The client never asks for the data. The server tells the client when the data is ready. So if the data does change in the background, it will tell it, by the way, this data changed. And it can push that data down to the client if need be. So the client is being silently updated. And then you can reserve making a request for when if the last updated, yeah. Well, GraphQL, this GraphQL implementation has a sockets implementation with it. So there is a socket attached anyway. Service, no. Maybe notification service. Nope. Shared services. Did I not actually do this yet? Maybe I ripped it out. Yeah, I might have ripped it out. Depending on how relevant socket is, may not going to be an issue. Yeah. So there's options, right? Fetch comments, fetch one. Did I create a notification service? I can't remember. I might have removed it because it was not really doing me much good right this second. Yeah, there was anyway. Socket is a reasonable solution considering that logic either exists in the client and server and be everywhere. Yeah. So what you can do is you can actually assign, you can register so on the server side code definitely exists because I wouldn't have removed it. On the server side, you have this subscription, and now this subscribes. So when I get a notification, I can push it down to the client. And here I'm just testing to see, oh, is this notification intended for this particular user? If it is, give them the notification, right? So this allows me to selectively push to the clients that actually care, so I can actually do some variation of this. So if an object changes that a client is actually actively touching, then I could register interest in something. So if they've actually edited that thing, then they actually care about the object, and therefore they're going to get changes to it. Yeah, that kind of code is prime for library code generics. Yeah, yeah. So we'll get there. We'll work on that. But I'm gonna BRB. I just need to go and get the dogs in because it sounds like they are barking. So I'll be right back. Yay. Funny, I put headphones in all the time. I never listen to anything, but it helps me talk. I don't understand that one. Okay, so did we commit all these things? We did. Should patch state was missing and quality check and the dates matched. So in that instance, it's actually wasteful. I mean, it's not really wasteful because I'm loading the request anyway. But I'm always overwriting it if the dates match. View code analysis. Don't be hunting in my pockets. Loki likes to chew paper, and if you have tissues in your pockets, he will find them and chew them. He's a weirdo. Aren't you, bud? Mhm. Okay. Maybe I'll find some time over the winter break and set up doggo cam. Get an actual space for them to sit. Let's do that. Let's do this. Pull request. Ooh, a lot of changes. Oh, you dare break. 48 files changed. So we added a formatting on the scripts, apparently. Joy, planning items. Nothing added. Status we added to the planning items view. We added a drop down. We added the code behind for the drop down. That makes it ng form control compatible. We updated the module. Apparently, a lot of formatting that I've been letting go. We added the greater than or equal to here for the planning items query. We included should include completed. So this is a state. This is the interesting thing. This is the actual state. So this name actually matters. This is actually part of the data of the actual store itself. Right. And then we added the filtering in here so that now whenever we request that data is done. And if we toggle that state, this will trigger a change and this computed will fire. There's our refresh state being updated. And there's our completed state. So again, it's this value here. This should include completed. This is part of this state for this item status state. Naming wise, this is probably bad. I probably want to review that sometime. Now I've got a better handle of what it's actually doing. It's probably worthwhile going through and figuring out some good naming. But as I was starting to say before, what I want to do is find someone who can do a good UI UX markup. Make this look like a real product. At that point, I feel that I would be changing a lot of stuff anyway. Right? So there's no point me worrying about the perfect version of this, the perfect version of that. And I know that what might happen is I'm like, oh well, I've done all the work. I just make it do this. I'll just squish this in here and make this work. But it is a chance to learn, and it's a chance I should take. So yeah, we'll definitely try and do that. Planning item service, we had the project tenant, we had the status on there, and that formatted. We got rid of all this text and replaced it with a snippet. This is a good idea because now they're consistent. So a fragment, sorry. There's some formatting to put the projects at the top of the panel. So when we click on, I can't do it now because the app's not running, but when we click on an item, the panel, the projects were initially in this list. I think that cleans up this list quite nicely and doesn't really, it didn't add very much to have the projects listed in there at this point. We formatted the validators. We added the checkbox at the top of the page. That's going to drive me crazy because now they're out of step with each other. We added the status column. We removed the projects column. We removed the projects from this grid. We added the checkbox in here, and now we're binding that variable to that. Well, we're not binding it. We're fetching it, and then here we're toggling this variable by doing this. What if you can bind them? Baby steps, baby steps. In here, we replace these with the name directories. This is a much cleaner way. The fact that this exists tells me that this was not necessarily wrong. They just have this method for making it cleaner anyway. So this dot 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 everywhere is not actually wrong. We create a pipe for the status to clean that up. And we create the status constant. We added that into the update planning item. We pass that in. We have that on the planning item itself, defaulted to preparing again, hard coded, probably not good. Again, we'll have to consider how we're going to use that in the long term. Because again, right now, the way I've set this up, anyone coming to this application, if we say we need to introduce a new status, is going to add a new value on the client to that list. And they're done, right? So we've got to keep asking ourselves, is this the right design? Should we be changing this? It fits the need right this second. It gets this story moving forward. It does mean we don't have to have this massively complicated infrastructure. I'm trying to find somewhere to put my feet. Got some unit tests. Again, not full, but they are unit tests when status is empty. Having the status in those tests, and there we go. Okay. Okay, so unit test failed. Unit tests. So skip to step last deployment. It should be up and running now. Nice. I'm going to look at that just after the stream. Sounds like Dota has been looking as well. Hey, Tom. Good boy, Tom. Go boy. Okay. No. So plan item update with no changes are made. So my bet is we're expecting status here. This is a non-nullable string, right? There you go. Correct. Missing test I. So that's one of my definite weak areas. When I go through trying to fix other tests to make sure they pass, I assume that they're just going to work just because I'm just giving them the data they need. I clearly didn't give it all the data it needed. I didn't construct it, and then I moved on, and I shouldn't have done. I'm until the deployment process is still a bit of a touch and go for me. I have my process documented, but troubleshooting can be a pain. There's many, many, many production deployments that follow that same pattern. I don't even know what your process is, but bit touch and go and be a pain. Yeah. um, deployment of applications is oftentimes is there's a reason DevOps exists as a discipline, and why operations exists as a discipline in general. It's so easy to be like, it deployed, it kind of works, it's fine, and then 3-4 years later you're still going, it's not working as well as it did, but it still works. We don't have the time to spend on that. Mr. Horn, good morning. Tests failing. So because that was a non-nullable field, that's why that was failing. I think updating the domain SSL would be a good improvement with this. The site looks really good. Just Pulumi all the things. We are going to have to go through that at some point. That should go through. I'll push that in, yeah. Let's wait for that to build. You really do have everything figured out. I was able to transfer my domain easily, set the SSL generation service easily once Cloudflare was blind. Or since Cloudflare was blind. Sorry. Yeah. Yeah, SSL is not, it's not fun to play with. The entire deployment thing is not fun for me to play with, if I'm honest. Squash and merge. Stas. Well, I mean, it's the purpose of SSL is meant to be like verified, etc. Interviews. You have interviews? Or is it just a random statement? Okay, so let's go check out development. Oh, we need to do we need to do something else there as well. We got to remember we have another library now. Foundation. Upholsteries, foundation. So foundation is the core components, right? So this has a need. New pull request, right? Because we integrated the status. Branch. Update the branch. View commits. There you go. Okay, so now we can do delete that branch. And we can delete that branch. We can delete that branch. Okay. Okay. Let's go and have a look. Let's make sure everything is working. Move on to what's coming next. So again, I'm trying to focus on the features I need to be able to use this effectively, right? I'm not focusing. I'm pivoting a little bit from changes. Changes is it's not because well, it is because changes is hard, but I think that I don't have enough information about what I need to know to make changes as useful as it can be. So once we need the full stack. We need to be able to do stuff if we choose. Once we have a few more of these actual features implemented, we'll know the shape of the data. We'll know what we need to alert on, how we need to alert on things. It gives some better insights. So I think there's more value in adding some of these features to make the application stack more useful than there is to focus weeks of energy on changes and then struggle and get stuck when we add more data. Oh, done, finished. Still going. Oh, I forget, by the way, on YouTube. So likes and comments and things like that on YouTube mean way more than like in Twitch. You go in there and you just hang out and watch the stream, right? If you're not subscribed, you get ads. If you are subscribed, you avoid ads and support the channel, right? On YouTube, you have to get to like 500 users and have so many watch hours before you actually 500 subscribers and so many watch hours before you can actually monetize the stream. But to get people into the stream, things like likes and comments matter. And I didn't realize that until I started watching YouTube streams recently a lot more. Some Gran Turismo streams, they really focus on, hey, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, come back for more later. Yeah, the promotion on YouTube is very different. Like on Twitch, there's some natural, yeah. Luis Ferrio, welcome in. Thank you very much for the follow, by the way. Hope you are well. And again, if anybody's new to the stream, if you have any questions about what I'm doing, any thoughts, opinions, if you believe I'm doing something wrong, if you believe there's something that you'd like to know more about, you're more than welcome to ask. I will happily share what I can. This project is. Did I just navigate away there? Did I just close that down? There you go. Twitch's biggest failing is channel discovery, which is relatively terrible. That's why the biggest streamers rely on TikTok, etc. for that. Yeah, trying to get into that viral mindset is the challenge. No. Did I not update this? Let's see how well this does. So I'm not stopping this from running. I forgot to update this to get the changes. Let's see how well it recovers. Not terribly. Oh, it's not full screen. No. Off to work. Have a great day, Doctor. Take care. I'll see you again soon. We have a spotter bother. Well, that's not good, is it? Oh, because this isn't building. This isn't built for that endpoint. So the client recovered just fine. The server did not, because the server was running when I just pulled up. How did you learn RxJS? I wouldn't say I have yet. I'd say I get ever more comfortable with using some of the patterns. And don't expect to know it all. There's so many different things I have to do just for this application. I need to be, again, I think we kind of talked about it yesterday, right? It's not what you can memorize. It's not what you can regurgitate. It's what you know how to find out. And every step I take building the application, doing something new, learning a different technique, learning a different pattern will help me grow. And I can go and focus on the specifics of understanding something as and when I need to. So my usage of RxJS right now is limited to well, what's it limited to? Oh, sorry, dog. Need to go sit down? Sorry. Am I in your way? I know, inconsiderate. Inconsiderate, right? Why would I want to put my legs under my desk? Yeah, I kind of use the subscribe. I kind of use the pipes and stuff, and try and get better. And every time I go and I hit a problem, I go and dig deeper in and try and understand what am I missing, what do I need to learn, why is this wrong, and I still get stuck all the time, especially when it comes to like async await on the client side. That trips me up. Here we go. Okay, so we have an application that's up and running again. So we have in progress. We can show completed items. We can hide completed items. This is good. Ultimately, that would probably store in a user profile as well. We'd have to figure that out. So I kind of want to do something fun. I want to refresh the palette a little bit. Because we had. Okay, let's move this review date to 20th. Right. Actually, So when editing a planning item, I should be able to set the status. The default status of a newly created planning item should be preparing. The available statuses are preparing, ready for planning, in progress, completed. Check. Items that are completed should not be displayed in the default planning item list. I should be able to filter to select to see the completed items. Check. The list of planning items should indicate the current status of the planning item. I should be able to group. So we decided. So again, we decided that this requirement wasn't necessary, right? Showing the status here is more than plenty. To group them by review window and the status doesn't really. It's not a really usable feature. It just matters what window they're in, and technically, past due should never appear. Current and upcoming should actually be the ones that appear, and we probably want to narrow this window in the long term anyway. So I'm going to say this is done. Right. So that one's done. Interestingly, it isn't close. Async await trips me up as well. I'm comfortable with pipes and subscriptions, but those pipeable operators start getting crazy if you dive deep. And they do. And if you're going for roles that are more UI focused, then that's the sort of stuff you probably need to learn a bit more about, right? Especially if you're going towards Angular or React, etc. But again, I can't know everything. I can't have all the answers. So therefore, I just kind of, when I come up against a challenge, I try and learn, and that's the difference, right? It's just I can spend maybe less time or maybe more time going off and learning how to do something, or I can make a rationalization as to why I shouldn't spend too much time doing one thing and move on from it. I suppose that's what experience gives you, right? The ability to say, yeah, I'll be fine. I can move on from that. Yeah. So what I wanted to do then is kind of do some display stuff. Is it possible? I'm going to do this on the other screen because the Prime NG site is horrendous. It never remembers what dark mode was. What I'm wondering is it possible to add a markdown control and then, so in this case, it doesn't really make a difference because, well, it should do, but it's not going to, right? Because it's not going to save the formatting, no matter what I do there. There you go. Changes to items. So in this instance, I wanted to see the list. I want to see the breakdown. I want to build, I mean, editing would be nice. Oh, it's complicated. This NGX Markdown has a lot of behavior. Includes marked, prism, emoji toolkit, KTeX for math expression rendering, mermaid for diagrams and charts, clipboard to copy blocks to clipboard. Demo available. That's funny. That's this site. Demo available. Okay. Async await trips people with no small parts. By its nature, it tries to hide the concurrency model because it wasn't properly conceived of and implemented originally. Morning, Trap. How's things? But while I'm thinking about this, by the way, next week I will not be streaming. I don't think I'll be streaming next week, actually. That's a good point. Until the 27th. Major outage at work since weekend that is out of my control. Oh. Ugh. So you're just waiting for them to sort it out. Ugh. Well, I hope you're waiting to sort it out and not having to be hassled, even though it's out of your control. Okay, that's that. So my thought would be if I add a new requirement and put the markdown editor in there, that would be a really good feature because then I can store the markdown and then use the markdown to display things properly. How big do we think that would be? Let's do this. New item. Half of my research is GPU servers are effectively offline. Since this is a networking issue, every random thing. Ugh. Oh man, some operations people are having a very, very bad couple of days. I always find in those cases if you've got really good ops people that can focus on the problem, you're good. But if you have people who are basically guessing at what they're doing and trying to solve each problem as it appears, you end up creating a lot more problems. So it's where you need a really cool head to be leading that sort of thing. I'm probably the former, but know that I want to be the latter in those situations. So labs, the SLA is almost non-existent. And while I'm on good terms with the head of the lab and they are prioritizing, the random people working it don't understand the severity for my team. Gotcha. Displaying requirements properly. helps readability. Requirements. Documents. Well, you need security read to open ports after years of it being open and then breaking NFS for everyone, which is pretty critical to basic operation. Yeah. When things go wrong, it's amazing how much red tape it is. The requirements for essential documents, they should be able to format, title, provide lists, etc. It would be useful to have a markdown editor when the requirement. Useful to use markdown. That's a technical requirement. That's an interesting thing to tackle. Assign to, let's assign to Jeffrey. Assign projects, UI. It's not really planning. It's a UI concern, essentially. Did I hit save then? Did I just navigate away? Do I hold on. Interesting. That might be a side effect of the show completed. The status probably doesn't. We have a bit of a bug there. Planning components, add requirement, add. Planning forms. So we add a new planning item. Store.add planning items. The stores. Yeah, I don't like this organization. It's not good. Features, planning items, right feature, add planning item. That's not good. Default planning item stats. So now I'm defaulting that on the client and I'm defaulting that on the server. Now they have to agree. And I've got the hard coded value. This is not. It's not ideal, but we'll again, every step forward, we'll look at this pattern and understand how we're using. Because once I start to understand how to use status properly, that will change how I'm going to use it throughout the system. I don't want to mess around. But I don't like that. I don't like that it's just sat there random hard coded. But yeah. Because what's going to happen right now is items are going to disappear because they're going to have no status on them by default. Okay, so to do this, we're at the point in the application where basically I have a ton of features I want to do, and then every feature has its own quirks or a new bug or a new design challenge rears its ugly head. So I'm trying to keep focused on getting a single thing done and not getting diverted onto fixing problems that are again side effects. So that's because we don't update the store properly. And when I added a comment, it got added to the store, but then now this is now pulling from the server. We don't support links, that's good. Right now it is. So from a requirement perspective, should provide Markdown editor as part of adding requirement. This text area entertaining, entering the intended outcome should become a Markdown. Right, it's a do we want to see a preview as we're doing it? I think we probably do, don't we? Should provide preview. A preview of the should be made available. What this is going to do is going to open up the visualization of how I want these requirements to work. And what it's going to highlight is the fact that that panel to the right there is not going to be sufficient for displaying requirements, right? It's not really what it's intended for. Or it's not really what I was building this UI around. So preview the document should be made available as we are updating the intended outcome. So yeah, as I was saying, there will be no streams next week until Friday next week. I'm out of the state from Sunday until early Thursday morning, and I don't want to get in at 2 a.m. Thursday morning and then try and start a stream at 7. But then on Friday, I do have the day off work, and I'm going to do an anniversary stream as such, because Friday marks 25 years as a developer professionally. So we're going to do a longer stream on Friday, probably 3 or 4 hours at least, and do a community stream. So I'll open up Discord if anyone wants to drop in and have a chat, ask questions, etc. You're more than welcome to. So yeah, that'll be next week. Preview the document should be made available as we update the intended outcome. When the requirements are formatted properly on display, display should document in the page as so. I mean, essentially that's it. Right? Now, again, from a stories perspective, we might take 1 and 2 and say, yeah, that's one story. We'll do them together. Okay, so they become one story, and this one becomes another one. And again, I've got in mind kind of a wizard process for that, and kind of tinkering and thinking through the challenges of doing that. But the intention would be create stories from these rather than rather than using these as stories, because the technical requirements can be added to the stories. So to do a markdown editor, I want to go through. So marked will parse it. So we could obviously use that. We don't necessarily need language syntax highlighting in this, but if we're including this library all the time, then when we get to the story side of things, maybe that's useful. So to install ngx markdown, so hold on. It's an Angular library that combines these. Then the install instructions tell you to add them independently. What? I mean, I don't need them right this second, right? I just need this one. Let's have a look. So we well, that's actually putting the, okay, that's putting the code in the page. Okay, so we just need markdown as a component. Okay, so let's do liquid sky, new branch, feature, introduce, markdown, editor. So there really shouldn't be a need to change anything on the messaging side of things here. This should be an all client change. I don't do any parsing or validation on the server side yet. That's something we'll have to talk about later in terms of is sanitization something that we should do on that that data because we're passing this around the system. Okay, so we're saying we should be able to go to here. What? Marked. That could create some problems. But I don't want to install two versions behind. Okay. So essentially, what we're doing here, so the text area which controls that, and then a markdown area which displays that. Is it that simple? So forms, components, add requirements. So here we have an input and a text area. and that's the form controls the intended outcome. So are we saying that we have class equals, hold on, class equals grid div. Now, is that enough? Add requirement. Oh no, where's my add requirement one gone? Hello? Hello? No provided for Markdown service. Okay, that's understandable. Why would we read the instructions? App module, Markdown module for root. There we go. So we can add it into the planning module, and that's an import. There we go. Why does 1 and 2 look identical there? But that's working, kind of. We're just gonna kind of figure out now. How to lay out that page properly. Uh, 2/3. Oh, it's better. Rows 20. Okay. And yes, I realize that I'm focusing on the wrong thing here. Okay. So it's not just about this component. It's the hold on. Saving a requirement. So that will save, right? Now, when we're doing the display the requirements, essentially, this is Markdown. Data equals requirement dot intended outcome. Oh, what is that doing? It's like it's not. Okay, so do we do that? We do that. We just need. Seems awfully padded though, doesn't it? Grid gap 2. But that gap is there. That's the 2. Overflow hidden BG gray under shadow. PY. That's that. That's the padding there. That's not the padding there. Yeah. So Y padding top bottom 3. So that gives us that nice title. That's driving me crazy though, because it's like it's funny, either today is a busier day for most people, or me messing around with the UI is less interesting than me messing around with code. Because my viewership is like way lower than it normally is at this time. Huh. Like I'm always mindful of doing stuff that is a little bit more engaging on stream, because it's if I'm going to stream, having the chance to have people engage is a useful part. Oh, it's kind of the part that I like. Is that got some natural padding? Is that the problem? Let's have a look. Yeah, that does, doesn't it? Has 24 padding on that div. But the markdown doesn't. So if I bring this over here, the markdown control doesn't, but this has. It has 24 padding all the way around. Why is that? Why does px2 py3 do that? Because if I remove that, um, is that what I'm after? That's definitely not what I'm after. What am I after there? P0. I don't think that's what I want. I need. And that's not. Because I still get the padding no matter what, right? The padding is. Dogs, this is not. One. Close that down. So the markdown is not there. So again, if I did class equals border red 600. What a solid. Ah. Hold on. Is this where I need border collapse? No. Okay, time to find out. Tailwind, CSS, border collapse. Use border collapse to combine adjacent cell borders into a single border when possible. Okay, so that's not what I want. No. Border spacing. That's not what I want because they're not cells. Like I want some padding. Class equals px2. What? That's the same as that, right? Oh, that's cool. So we did get some side effect there because it actually did format the screen. Hey, Radio Patrick. Goes well. How about you? How are you doing today? So just added a markdown editor into the requirements. Screen seems awful. So now testing. The underline one. Italicize, yeah. Doing okay. Just looking at more job stuff over breakfast. Nice. How's that going? You finding things you're interested in? Imposter syndrome getting you at all? Should have done this way earlier. There's some neat jobs out there that I didn't even know about. Yeah. Yeah, man. Turns out Johns Hopkins is an applied physics lab doing software simulation and missile flight dynamics. Super cool stuff. Huh. Well, lots of cool things to chase. Cool. So, we're not going to mess around with syntax highlighting, etc. Oh no. Um, testing. Can I do things nicely? I Imposter syndrome only gets me after I get the job. Or I get excited looking at jobs because there's always a bunch of really neat work out there that I hadn't seen before. Nice. That's a yeah. Um, so to not get them, but I'm generally pretty positive about the job search itself. Good. Well, I hope you get into something you like that is. It sounds like you're looking for roles that are pretty fascinating roles, like very engaging work. From the actual content, not the actual development side of things, which is cool. That's a. I've never. I've always looked at it from the technology perspective first. I've never actually considered I mean, the industry that I'm in now is the one that fascinates me the most, purely because of the problems that it has to solve that seem very simple but aren't. Um, yeah, that's cool. Cool. Well, I didn't expect this to be quite so quick. This is a nice surprise to get this in here. So this is the NGX Markdown component. Um, I tell myself Swift and iOS app dev from scratch in 6 months from my last job, so I know I can do anything. Yeah, Michael was asking earlier on in the stream about how did I learn NGRX, and I said I didn't. I use it, and as I need something, I go off and learn the things I need to learn, and I think that's what sets aside. That's that's the difference. Like I actually don't genuinely believe in junior versus senior in any level of authority, but I think that's what sets aside the two roles in terms of how much you're expected to know and how much you're expected to be able to find out and quickly. And that's what you're paying for. You're paying for someone who can, on their own, go off and figure out the solutions to problems and not get stuck or filter through um, the actual um, filter out the requirements from the wish list at this point. The dogs are fast asleep under my feet. My legs are going like in all sorts of angles. My chair wants to roll off the mat. Awesome. All in the name of the dogs being comfortable. So yeah, we got some unintended side effects. This actually popped out and actually started formatting properly once I put this into the Markdown editor. So it obviously understands that the asterisks do mean that, which is cool. So the formatting I'd say previously. So there's no backend changes. The entire change to include the Markdown stuff is this. I mean, it's a basic, simplistic implementation, right? But it does what it needs to do for now. It captures that requirement and allows us to create more detailed requirements. So displaying requirements properly helps readability. This text area should be, so we'll say that's in progress. This text area used for entering the intended outcome should become a markdown aware editor. A preview of the document should be made available as we update the intended outcome. The display should output the document in the page as defined by the markdown. Yeah, I think we're done with that one. Nice. And then if we show completed, that now shows completed. Cool. So let's commit those changes. Introduce NGX Markdown. Added library for Markdown. Editor. Updated requirement entry for. Now, that requirement screen is not the final version, right? It's just the version that we're going to work with for now. Again, I think a lot of things changed there. So, but it does demonstrate that it's functional. It does work with a markdown, etc. Updated requirement entry for capturing markdown, displaying preview, updated. And even if we don't do, even if we've done like we did there with the asterisk, it still read them properly. It's not like it's adding some extra components. Okay, dogs. Okay, so let's commit and push all that. We'll do one more PR and then we'll call it for today. And apparently this stream has not been very engaging. So repositories, Liquid Sky. Okay. So do a compare. Get pull request. Again, I'm going through these as they are. What? How did? Dang it. So this is failing. I'm gonna merge it anyway. This is failing because right now I've created this need to have this separate repository. And I've got to learn how to make it fall back on. If you don't have a because this is going to be the case all the time, right? I don't have a branch of Foundation because there was no messaging involved in this change. What it's looking for is a branch called feature/markdown requirements editor on Foundation to build against. It's not there, so it doesn't do it, and it fails. But I'm gonna move ahead because once this goes to the main one, it's going to build and it's going to work fine. Squash and merge. Delete the branch. Development checkout, and we'll see that in a second, right? So we should see an action running, and that test should be fine. And again, it's because a Foundation branch of the same name doesn't exist. What I need to do is modify the action to say, okay, go to the Foundation branch, Foundation library, check to see if there is a branch of the same name. If not, use a development branch, because the likelihood is if the branch doesn't exist, then we don't have any changes for that thing, so we're good. This should pass though, because there is a development foundation branch, right? So we should be able to go here, development update. Fetch that change. There we go. Like that, and there we go. Okay, so that's done. Let's wait for this one to finish. So I think from a usability perspective, the next feature to work on tomorrow will be editing the requirements and deleting the requirements. I think those are two um, updating requirements of planning item as a product manager. I will be tweaking the requirements of a planning item many times throughout its life. Discussions with development teams. And that is about to start in 3 minutes, by the way. Development teams, management, etc., will yield different so it's important to be able to keep them up to date. So again, we'll do this for 09 20 2024, assigned to Jeffrey, and this is planning items UI create. There we go. So we saw before, we added the default of preparing in there as a quick fix. That means that this now displays, which is what's required, right? So now adding the requirements here, should be able to delete a requirement when the requirement when building the. So this is the sort of stuff I want to carry on doing. I want to, as we go through a builder tool, I want to start really focusing on these things from a actual planning perspective, like treat them as I would expect them to come from PMs. Now, the challenge I'm going to face time and time again is that I am a developer, not a PM. Therefore, my requirements here are going to get slightly more technical than I'd like, and they are going to look like stories that they're intended to be. But the goal of these requirements here, the goal of the planning item is to kind of get these sorts of things out there, discussed and agreed upon before stories get created. So we can say, here's the things I expect. Oh, by the way, these three things actually roll up into one story. They're fine. These things are different stories, etc. Actually, that's two stories. So, and being able to build that tool out is going to be a key component of this application. What a deemed requirement of building the planning may not remain. A delete button should be provided. No, a garbage can icon should be available to me on the UI. That's gonna, again, from a story perspective, and I apologize for ads. Garbage can be involved to me in the UI. When I click to remove, I should be prompted. Are you sure you wish to you? Actually works pretty well. Should be able to edit an item. Oh, that preview kept behind as well. That's interesting. Huh. There's a bug. As a product manager, I expect be able to edit requirements. A pencil icon should appear next to the planning item. The requirement. When I click it, a dialog similar to the add requirement should appear and provide me the chance to change the contents. And again, with every passing fix, with every passing feature, with every passing amendment, more jobs open up, right? So, okay, I want to be able to delete a requirement, right? Now the change happens. So now later on, what does the changes look like, right? There's all sorts of knock-on effects to doing any single one of these things. And again, this is what I'm trying to get to, is this world of when I change something, when I add something to the system, it's not just that isolated change. There's more things that come as a part of that. And exploring those things and understanding those things from a development perspective is really important. If these become stories, they're assigned points based upon what they do, not what they could do. So those discussions need to happen to understand, here's the knock-on effects. You might want to create some planning items around these pieces at this point and start thinking about what those are, but those don't become stories. Those are still sat there waiting to be worked upon. We can lock down these requirements and agree upon what a story is, but understand the knock-on impacts of doing that. And this is why I'm doing this. So editing an item, well, I edit it. Now the requirement changes. Now, from a historical perspective, do you care? Maybe you do. So maybe changes should show that. Maybe changes is too granular there. Maybe changes needs to exist at this level. So with every passing feature I add, the system grows, not exponentially, but it does grow significantly because everything comes with extra requirements, extra, oh, that feature might be useful, that feature might be useful. Once I can edit the requirements, once I can, I've now got them displaying better. I can delete them. I can tidy them up. I can start to use these more and more. We can start to talk about, okay, well, is that useful? You know, this whole completed thing, right? Is it useful to show completed? Is this loading too much data down into the client? Do I need those things? there's all sorts of challenges that come with this. So yeah, but that's gonna be it today. I'm just gonna finish up because it's 5 past. There's not a lot of you hanging out with me today, so I'm not gonna stress about raiding out and trying to find someone. Um, Thanks for the fan to the stream. Sorry I wasn't as good as you'd like. It was still great. I appreciate you being here one line. That's not what I'm like. It's a very low day today, so um I'm doing this regardless, right? I'm not, it's just yeah, I'm not expecting a leveling of engagement. Um yeah, we're getting there, right? Um I think the application's starting to take a little shape, and I'm enjoying that part. And I hope that as it starts to take shape and take form as such, that if you're a developer working in these sorts of tools, that maybe you have some ideas or opinions on, oh, well, that's not going to work because how do you tackle this problem? How do you tackle this problem? And that's kind of what I'm hoping to get at some point, right? Where I'm building a tool that I'm trying to say, hey, I think I'm solving a problem here. Even if someone comes in and says, no, you're not solving the problem. You're just calling it something else. Um, you know, that's where I want to go because again, I think I want to build something that's helpful for people doing this. I want to get away from developers having to do a lot of this work, and I think this does achieve that, where it's starting to look like it could. So yeah, tomorrow we will work on getting these requirements dealt with. So they're going to be in progress. And there we go. Updating requirements of planning item. Should be able to delete, should be able to edit. But again, this opens up, oh, well, should I be allowed to delete? Should I be allowed to edit? Oh, we've got user permissions, etc. But anyway, thank you for joining me today. I will be around, and I'll be back tomorrow. Again, there'll be no streams until Friday next week, because I will be in Texas for most of next week. Yeah, I'll be back tomorrow. I'm just going to finish up here and have a great day, all. Thank you very much for the time, and I'll see you soon.